Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin. Far beyond the clouds you see each night, beyond the blue veil that softens our days, there is a silent rain that never ceases. It is not made of water or snow, it is not the gentle mist that settles on fields, nor the drops that glisten on leaves at dawn. This rain is invisible, quiet, and almost ghostly. It drifts endlessly through the universe and touches every corner of our earth, even your own skin, even as you breathe right now. These are the cosmic rays, tiny messengers from stars, from galaxies, from places so distant we can barely imagine their light. They travel across time itself, billions and billions of years, until they fall upon us like whispers from the beginning of everything. If you could close your eyes and imagine this rain, you might picture threads of silver light, stretched thin across the fabric of space, shimmering softly as they drift downward. They carry stories from the explosions of massive stars, from the collapse of suns far larger than our own, from the fierce births of galaxies where gravity pulls matter into spirals of fire. When those stars end their lives in supernovae, they hurl out particles at speeds near the speed of light. These particles, charged and restless, wander through the cosmos, colliding, scattering, bending around magnetic fields, until at last, some reach Earth. You cannot see them, but they are always here, falling gently, like rain in a forest too dark for your eyes to notice. Scientists first discovered cosmic rays over a century ago, not by watching the sky, but by following a mystery. Instruments on the ground recorded strange bursts of energy, electricity that seemed to appear without a cause. At first, many thought these sparks were just the breath of the earth itself, a trick of the soil or the weather. But when balloons lifted those instruments high above the ground, far into the thinner air, the energy grew stronger, not weaker. That was the first hint that something was falling from the heavens, not rising from below. It was as though the sky itself was showering Earth with invisible arrows of energy. The air we breathe is not empty. It is full of molecules, oxygen, nitrogen, tiny drops of water, drifting dust. When a cosmic ray strikes this sea of air, it collides with atoms like a pebble cast into still water. Ripples spread. The single particle becomes many, a cascade of fragments and sparks, like sparks from a fire thrown into dry grass. These showers of invisible fragments can spread for miles, some reaching the ground, others fading before they ever touch us. And yet they do touch us. Every second, countless cosmic rays pass through your body, through your skin, through the stone of mountains, through oceans deep as night. They're so small, so swift. You never notice them. And still, they are there. A reminder that the universe is never still, never quiet, never far away. Now imagine drifting higher, above the tallest mountains, above the drifting plains and the thin clouds, into the darkness where the blue fades to black. Out here, the cosmic rain is stronger, less softened by the Earth's protective shield. Astronauts who leave our atmosphere live within this ceaseless drizzle of energy. It is not gentle for them. It can damage their cells, twist the threads of DNA, and over long journeys, it becomes a danger that cannot be ignored. For us below, the atmosphere is a blanket, catches most of these particles, breaks their storms before they reach us fully. But the astronauts floating in the silent dark know the rays more intimately, like the touch of an unseen wind brushing their skin. Yet cosmic rays are not only a danger, they are also a storybook. In their energy, in their speed, in the way they arrive from all directions, they tell us of violent events across the cosmos. Some come from our own sun, bursts of solar storms when its surface spits out streams of charged particles. Others come from distant galaxies, from supermassive black holes that twist space and time, flinging out jets of matter like lighthouses in the dark. To detect them is to read faint letters carried across unimaginable distances. To measure their paths is to learn the hidden language of the stars. If you listen closely to this story, you might begin to feel the poetry of it. Every second, your body, your house, your street is bathed in relics of stars. You live in constant contact with the remains of distant explosion. The cosmos is not out there, it is here, within you, upon you, brushing through you. Just as the wind carries the scent of flowers or the salt of the sea, cosmic rays carry the signature of galaxies. They do not ask for permission. They do not knock. They arrive softly, silently, like old friends who've been travelling far too long, finally resting upon your shoulders. The danger of cosmic rays lies in their invisibility. A sunburn tells you of the sun's harshness, but cosmic rays leave no redness, no sting on your skin. Their harm is slower, deeper, hidden within cells, within the very code of life. For astronauts, for satellites, for electronics in the high atmosphere, these particles can flip switches, scramble data, weaken bodies. Planes that fly at high altitudes carry instruments to measure their influence, a silent watch against the invisible drizzle. The higher we go, the more unshielded we become, until beyond Earth's arms we face the raw universe as it truly is, bright, fierce, restless. But even here on Earth, where the air protects us, we remain touched by them. And this is where the story turns gentle again, for not all contact is harm. Some scientists whisper that cosmic rays may play roles we barely understand. They may stir the seeds of clouds, helping water to gather into drops. They may whisper into the chemistry of the upper air, shifting balances in ways too delicate to notice easily. Some dreamers even wonder if they shape life itself, as though the universe leaves fingerprints on our evolution, tiny nudges in the code of who we are. So when you rest tonight and the stars glitter above, remember the invisible rain. Remember that your skin, your heart, your very breath is part of a larger story, written not only by Earth but by galaxies untold. Each second is a meeting place between you and the cosmos. Each moment is a soft collision between starlight and your own quiet life. The cosmic rays drift on, silent and endless, falling without pause. And as they do, they remind us gently, tenderly, not separate from the stars. We are touched by them, shaped by them, held in their endless invisible embrace. Imagine drifting deeper into this invisible rain, not as a human bound to Earth, but as a traveller riding on one of those particles themselves. You begin your journey in the violent heart of a dying star, where the core collapses with a fury so great that matter is hurled outward faster than thought itself. The supernova spreads its light across galaxies, and within that blast your tiny particle is born, accelerated into the dark ocean of the universe. For millions of years you wander, carried not by your own will, but by the tangled webs of magnetic fields that stretch across space like unseen rivers. You do not travel straight. You twist, bend, and scatter, crossing paths with planets, weaving around galaxies, only to be nudged onward again. And in this endless flight, your story is written, waiting to be read when at last you touch the fragile skin of Earth's atmosphere. When scientists build detectors for cosmic rays, they're building nets to catch stories. These detectors sit high on mountains, spread wide across deserts, floating even on balloons that rise into the upper layers of sky. Each time a cosmic ray collides with our atmosphere, it creates a shower of fragments that the detectors can taste, each fragment like a letter in a word, each shower like a sentence in a book. From those fragments, scientists piece together the origins of the particle, the path it may have taken, the energy it carried. It is as though we stand at the edge of a cosmic shore, watching bottles wash in with messages from unknown lands, and we try to piece together the map from fragments of words and drawings. But the map is not easy to read. Space is restless, and magnetic fields twist like tangled threads, so the paths of cosmic rays are bent and curled until their origins are masked. It is like hearing a voice echo across a canyon, but never knowing from which exact cave it came. Still, within these echoes, we find hints. The highest energy cosmic rays, those rare particles that strike with unimaginable force, tell of places so extreme that only black holes and violent galactic storms could have birthed them. Their energy is like a thunderclap compared to the whisper of common particles, and when they arrive, the Earth trembles in the faintest of ways, as though the universe itself has knocked upon our door. There is danger in their energy too. For technology, the invisible touch of a cosmic ray can flip the memory of a computer from 1 to 0, from yes to no. A single particle older than Earth itself can strike a circuit in a satellite and cause confusion, errors, even failure. Our machines, delicate as they are, can be undone by the tiniest fragment of starfire. And so engineers plan shields, layers of protection, careful coding to catch and correct mistakes. It is a quiet battle between our creations and the endless reign of the cosmos. Most of the time we win, but sometimes the universe reminds us that its reach is longer than we imagine. For humans beyond Earth, the danger is more intimate. Cosmic rays do not stop at the skin. They pass through flesh, through bone, leaving tiny trails of broken molecules behind. Cells can heal, but sometimes the damage lingers, written into the code of life like a smudge on a manuscript. Astronauts in orbit, explorers dreaming of Mars, must live with their quiet reign, their bodies recording each touch in ways invisible but profound. The farther they go, the thinner Earth's shield becomes, until there is no shield at all, only the silence of space and the steady drizzle of cosmic fire. It is one of the greatest challenges of long journeys, this invisible presence that cannot be seen, cannot be heard, yet is always there. And yet in the same breath we must remember their beauty, for without cosmic rays our understanding of the universe would be smaller, dimmer, quieter. They are proof that distant stars speak to us even after their death, that galaxies send out their secrets across the endless sea. Every particle is a letter, every shower a paragraph, every detection an entry in the diary of the cosmos. When you read about cosmic rays, you're not reading about something foreign. You're reading about the intimate ties between you and the stars, the bonds that stretch across time and space to remind you that you are not isolated, not alone. Think of the Earth itself, bathed in this rain for billions of years. Life arose beneath this constant drizzle, cells dividing and multiplying, while touched by particles older than the oceans. Some scientists wonder if mutations sparked by cosmic rays might have shaped evolution, nudging DNA in directions it would not have gone otherwise. Perhaps some of the traits we carry, some of the whispers within our genes, are not purely Earth's doing, but the quiet fingerprints of the wider universe. The thought is humbling that every breath you take, every heartbeat, every word spoken might carry a trace of journeys that began beyond stars you will never see. To study cosmic rays is to accept that the universe is not distant but ever-present. The sun sends its storms, yes, but beyond the sun lie galaxies and clusters, black holes and quasars, each a lighthouse sending out particles across eternity. Some of these rays are so old that they began their journey before the Earth itself existed. When they touch us, they are not just reminders of space, they are messengers of time, bearing witness to eras long gone. They have travelled past collapsing stars through expanding voids, along the arms of spiral galaxies, all to arrive here, now, in this moment you are breathing. Let us drift deeper still into the poetry of their silence. Picture a night sky so clear that the Milky Way stretches above you like a river of light. Beneath that river, invisible to your eyes, is a greater river still, the river of cosmic rays flowing ceaselessly. You cannot see them, but they are there, shaping your world in ways you never notice. Like the roots of trees deep underground, unseen but essential, cosmic rays weave into the story of Earth. They are danger and beauty, threat and gift, a reminder that the cosmos is alive, not static, not a picture frozen in the heavens. It breathes, it reaches, it touches, and in that touch, you find the quiet connection that binds you to every star. The story of cosmic rays does not end with danger or mystery alone, but with a gentle reminder of our place in the universe. To think of them only as threats would be to miss their softer voice, their quiet offering. They are not here to frighten us. They are here because the universe is alive, and in its life it cannot help but reach out. A tree drops seeds, a river carries silt, a star casts light, and galaxies throw out their cosmic rain. It is the natural flow of things. To live under this rain is to live under the breath of the cosmos itself, to be part of a conversation older than words, wider than earth, softer than dreams. When you close your eyes and imagine this unseen rain, think of it not as a storm but as a lullaby sung across billions of years. Each particle, each spark that drifts into our sky is a note in that song. You cannot hear it with your ears, but you can sense it in the stillness of knowing. For every second of your life, the stars have not forgotten you. They continue to send their fragments, their messages, their reminders that you belong to a universe vast and eternal. And though those particles may never carry voices you understand, the song is always there, humming softly in the background of existence. For the Earth itself, cosmic rays have been a constant companion since the very beginning. When the planet was young, still glowing and restless, cosmic rays were already falling. When oceans formed and the first cells stirred within their depths, cosmic rays traced their invisible fingers through the waters. They have always been here, always whispering, always touching. They shape the chemistry of the air, the currents of weather, the slow and steady dance of evolution. Life did not arise in silence. but in a universe alive with light, storms, and this unseen rain. To know this is to feel a thread connecting every breath you take to the most ancient fires of space. There is peace in knowing that you are not separate. You are made of atoms once forged in stars, and now those same stars send their messengers to remind you. Your body is both the book and the reader, both the vessel and the witness. When a cosmic ray passes through you, it does not destroy you. It continues the story that began before you were born and will go on long after you are gone. You are a single page in a vast manuscript, and the rays are the ink that touches every page, linking them together into one long song of creation. The future of humanity will depend on how we live with this invisible rain. As we dream of travelling farther, beyond the moon, beyond Mars into the deep ocean of stars, we must learn to shield ourselves. We must craft new blankets against the cold fire of space, new medicines to heal the quiet marks they leave upon us. Yet even in our caution, we must not forget the wonder. For the very rays that trouble us are the same rays that reveal the universe to us. They are both obstacle and guide, both risk and gift. To step beyond Earth is to accept both. To walk into the rain knowing it may harm, but also knowing it will teach. And what of Earth itself? Here the atmosphere continues its quiet work, softening the storm, breaking the showers into harmless whispers. The magnetic field, stretching out like invisible arms, bends and shields, guiding many particles away. It is a fragile shield, yet it holds. Without it, life would face the raw universe, unprotected. With it, we are safe enough to grow, to dream, to wonder. The shield itself is a reminder that we are cared for, that this planet is not only a rock in space, but a home that protects, nourishes, and sustains. In that protection, life has flourished, and under that shield, we now look up and imagine more. So as this story comes to a close, let yourself drift into the quiet comfort of connection. Think of the rain you cannot see, the whispers you cannot hear, and remember that they are there, always, above you, around you, within you. Cosmic rays are not distant, they're intimate, closer than your own heartbeat, constant as your own breath. They remind you that the universe is not indifferent. It touches you every moment, gently, endlessly, like the fall of soft snow in the night. You do not need to fear it. You only need to remember it, to honour it, to let it remind you that you are not a part but a part of something vast and eternal. The silent drift of cosmic rays is not a warning. It is a poem written in particles, an eternal letter from stars to you. It says, you are remembered, you are connected, you are part of the infinite story, and as long as the stars burn, as long as galaxies whirl, as long as the universe itself breathes, that rain will fall, and its message will never end. High above the quiet landscapes of Earth, where the air thins and the sky darkens into black, there is a restless star that never sleeps. The sun, warm and golden, seems gentle to our eyes when we feel its rays on our skin, when we watch it sink below the horizon at dusk. Yet behind its light lies a storm that never truly ends. The surface of the sun is not calm but alive, boiling and writhing with rivers of fire, loops of magnetism, and bursts of unimaginable energy. From this restless heart flow the whispers of solar storms, streams of charged particles that travel across space like invisible winds, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce enough to rattle the very shield that protects us. Imagine standing at the edge of a great ocean. The waves lap quietly against the shore, calm and reassuring, yet beneath the surface currents churn, storms gather, and distant winds drive waters toward you. The sun's such an ocean. On its surface, dark spots appear and fade, marks of magnetic knots twisting and tangling beneath the fiery skin. These sunspots are not blemishes but signs of power, places where energy builds like thunderclouds before a summer storm. When the knots snap, when the energy is released, the sun flings out eruptions so vast they could swallow Earth whole. These eruptions, solar flares and coronal mass ejections, are the voices of the storm, carrying with them waves of particles and bursts of radiation that speed across the solar system. For most of history, humanity knew the sun only as warmth and light, the steady clock that guided crops and seasons. Its storms were invisible, unknown, but then came the night skies where strange curtains of colour unfurled, shimmering in waves of green, red and violet. These were the auroras, the northern and southern lights, soft veils of fire rippling through the heavens. They were the first hints that the sun whispered in more ways than one. Ancient people saw them as spirits, as fires of gods, as signs of omens, but what they were truly seeing was the earth answering back to the storm, its magnetic field bending and glowing under the touch of solar winds. To understand solar storms is to look deeper into the restless surface of our star. The sun is made not of solid rock but of plasma, a sea of charged particles in constant motion. Magnetic fields rise and twist within this sea, tangling like ropes pulled too tight. When the tension becomes too great, the ropes snap, and in that snapping comes a flare of light brighter than 1 billion bombs. Alongside the flare, clouds of plasma may be hurled into space, carrying billions of tons of matter outward at speeds of millions of miles per hour. These clouds are the storms themselves, and though space is vast, they can reach Earth in just days, brushing against our magnetic field like a hand across a drum. When such a storm arrives, Earth listens. Its magnetic shield bends, ripples, and groans under the impact. For us on the ground, the first sign may be nothing more than beauty. Auroras dancing across skies where they are rarely seen, glowing as far south as lands that usually know only stars. But for our machines, our satellites and our explorers beyond the atmosphere, the storms are more than beauty. They are challenges, even dangers. A strong enough solar storm can scramble communications, shut down satellites, disrupt navigation systems, even darken power grids. The invisible whispers of the sun can become shouts that echo across the fragile systems of our modern world. Yet even as we guard against them, there is wonder in their touch. The auroras are not warnings alone, they are gifts, gentle reminders that the earth is alive with connection. To watch an aurora ripple across the night sky is to see Earth converse with the sun, to witness the invisible made visible, the whispers turned into light. Scientists speak of particles spiraling down magnetic lines, colliding with atoms of oxygen and nitrogen in the upper atmosphere, releasing their energy as colours. But to your eyes, standing under that glow, it is poetry painted in the sky, soft curtains rising and falling, as though the heavens themselves were breathing. The sun does not send storms with anger. It is simply alive, and in its life it moves, it burns, it changes, Its 11-year cycle of activity, rising and falling like a heartbeat, governs the rhythm of its storms. At the height of its cycle, sunspots multiply, flares burst more often, storms become frequent. At its quietest, the sun softens, its face calm and smooth. To watch this cycle is to feel the pulse of a star, the rhythm of a heart that has beat for billions of years and will beat for billions more. In that rhythm, Earth has grown, life has flourished, and now humanity listens more closely than ever, aware of both the gifts and the risks. To lie beneath the aurora is to feel this story not in books or equations but in your very breath. The night is cold, the stars sharp, and above you the sky shimmers with a light that seems alive. You know deep inside that you are watching the dance of particles that left the sun days ago, now meeting the embrace of Earth's shield. They travelled millions of miles, carried on winds invisible, and now they shine above you in colours too beautiful to belong to danger. They whisper to you, not with fear, but with a reminder. You live beneath a star, and that star is never silent. Its storms are not distant. They are part of the same story that makes your seasons, your days, your warmth, your life. The whispers of solar storms are not meant to frighten. They are meant to remind you that the sun is more than a lamp in the sky. It is a living fire, restless and tender, dangerous and kind. Its storms are its voice, and through them you learn that even stars breathe with rhythm, even stars speak with winds. To live on Earth is to live within that song, sheltered by the shield of atmosphere and magnetism, warmed by light, occasionally brushed by storms. It is to live within a partnership fragile and profound, between a planet and its star, between silence and storm, between the visible and the unseen. To understand the whispers of solar storms more deeply, we must step closer to the heart of the sun, where its restless energy is born. Imagine a sphere so vast that more than 1 million Earths could fit inside it, yet so delicate in its balance that the smallest changes ripple outward for billions of miles. The sun is not a solid body but a sea of plasma, where protons and electrons dance freely, stirred by the endless currents of heat and motion. Deep within, in its core, nuclear fusion burns quietly but relentlessly, turning hydrogen into helium, releasing light and energy that takes thousands of years to reach the surface. By the time it emerges, it is ready to travel into space to warm our world and to carry with it the possibility of storms. The storms being not in the core but in the sun's outer layers, where magnetic fields rise and tangle. These fields twist like ropes caught in turbulent waters, winding tighter until at last they snap. When they break, they unleash solar flares, bursts of radiation so bright they outshine the sun itself for brief moments. Alongside them, coronal mass ejections may surge outward, vast clouds of plasma and magnetism that billow into the solar system. These events are immense beyond imagination. Each ejection may contain billions of tons of matter, hurled outward at millions of miles per hour, a wave of fire in the vacuum of space. And yet, when seen from Earth, all this power is reduced to the gentle shimmer of an aurora, the quiet dance of light in the night sky. Scientists use satellites like SOHO and Parker Solar Probe to watch these storms, to listen for the whispers before they grow into shouts. Instruments measure magnetic fields, solar winds, and bursts of radiation, sending warnings back to Earth so we can prepare. Airplanes may adjust their routes, satellites may shift to safer modes, power grids may strengthen their defenses, the sun cannot be silenced, but its voice can be understood, its rhythm studied, its warnings heeded. In this dance between star and planet, knowledge becomes shelter and preparation becomes peace. Yet, the sun's whispers are not only warnings, they are also teachers. They reveal the living nature of stars, showing us that they are not static lights, but dynamic worlds in themselves. Every storm is a reminder that the universe is not still but constantly changing, constantly alive. When you see an aurora, you are not only seeing beauty, you are seeing the language of plasma and magnetism, the poetry of physics written across the sky. Each curtain of light is a sentence, each ripple a word, each spark a syllable in the sun's endless conversation with Earth. The danger, though quiet, is real. A strong enough solar storm like the famous Carrington event of 1859 could disrupt entire civilizations. In that storm, telegraph wires sparked, machines caught fire, and auroras were seen near the equator. If such a storm came today, our world of satellites, communication systems and power grids would tremble under its touch. A single storm could darken cities, silence connections, and remind us how dependent we are on fragile machines. It would not destroy life itself, for Earth's shield is strong, but it could humble us, remind us of the balance between our creations and the forces of the cosmos. In that reminder lies both caution and awe, but even in their power, the storms are part of a greater gift. Without the sun's activity, Earth would not be what it is. The same magnetic fields that create storms also shape the solar wind, which has sculpted the boundaries of the solar system, creating a bubble, the heliosphere, that protects us from cosmic radiation beyond. Without this bubble, the galaxy's harsher rays would reach us more strongly, and life might have faced greater challenges. So even in their danger, the storms are guardians, reminders that the sun is not only our star, but our shield. Think again of the aurora, for it is here that the science becomes most poetic. High above the Earth, at the edge of space, solar particles spiral down the magnetic field lines, colliding with atoms of oxygen and nitrogen. Each collision is like a note of music, releasing light in shades of green, red, purple, and blue. These colours ripple and dance, forming curtains and arcs, waves and spirals, painting the sky with the invisible made visible. To watch them is to witness a conversation between sun and earth, a dialogue carried not in words but in light, not in sound but in motion. It is a gentle reminder that we are not separate from our star, but always in touch, always connected, always part of a larger rhythm. For the traveller who dreams of other worlds, the whispers of solar storms are a challenge yet to be solved. On Mars, with its thin atmosphere and weak magnetic field, the storms would be harsher, their whispers turning into roars. For explorers drifting between planets, there would be no shield, no auroras, only the direct touch of solar winds against their ships, against their bodies. To reach the stars, we must learn to carry our own shields, to bring with us protection against the whispers of a star that both nurtures and tests us. It is part of the story of exploration, to understand, to adapt, to live with the living voice of the cosmos. So as we study the sun, as we listen to its whispers, let us not forget the wonder. Every storm is a reminder that we live in the presence of fire, that we are children of a star that has burned for billions of years and will burn for billions more. Its storms are not accidents, they are expressions of life, the movements of a being so vast that our words cannot contain it. To live under its light is to live in balance, sheltered and tested, warmed and warned. And in that balance lies the poetry of existence, the soft reminder that even the fiercest storms are part of the same light that makes a flower bloom, a river flow, a heart beat. The whispers of solar storms are more than fleeting events. They are part of the deep rhythm of our place in the cosmos. To listen closely is to recognize that the sun is not only a source of light, but also a storyteller. Its storms woven into the tale of Earth and life itself. When you look at the sky by day, it seems steady, unchanging. But beneath that surface lies constant motion, currents and eruptions that shape our destiny more than we often realize. The storms remind us that the sun is alive, that its voice reaches us in waves of light, in winds of plasma, in subtle touches that ripple through the fabric of our lives. And though we sometimes fear the force of its storms, they are also a bridge, connecting us directly to the great star that sustains us. Consider the quiet times, when the sun rests in its calmer years, its surface smooth, its storms rare. Even then, the whispers are present. The solar wind flows steadily, carrying particles across the solar system, filling the space between planets with an invisible river. Earth sails through this river every moment, its magnetic field bending and guiding the flow, protecting us while shaping our skies. The auroras may fade during these quieter times, but the conversation never ends. The sun never truly falls silent. It is always speaking, always breathing, always whispering through its storms, whether fierce or faint. For the scientists who devote their lives to studying these storms, the whispers are like riddles waiting to be solved. They send probes to orbit the sun, instruments that endure unimaginable heat, to measure the flows and fields that give rise to eruptions. They build telescopes that stare into its fiery face, recording flares and sunspots, cataloguing the patterns of cycles and the surprises of eruptions. Each discovery is not only knowledge, but also intimacy, a closer understanding of the star that makes life possible. By listening carefully to its whispers, we learn to live more wisely with its storms, to prepare for them, to marvel at them, to respect their power without forgetting their beauty. The whispers also carry lessons beyond Earth. They remind us that every star in the universe may sing in its own way. Each star has winds, storms, cycles of quiet and fury. The same forces that shape our auroras may ripple across countless worlds, unseen to us, but no less real. To look at the sun and its storms is to glimpse the universal rhythm of stars, the great song of plasma and magnetism that stretches across galaxies. Perhaps on other planets, under other skies, there are beings who watch their auroras and wonder, just as we do, about the voice of their star. Perhaps the whispers are universal, a shared language of creation spoken by suns across the cosmos. But here, on Earth, the whispers take on a personal meaning. For when you watch an aurora dance, you are not only seeing science, you are seeing poetry, history, connection. You are seeing the journey of particles that left the sun days before, racing across millions of miles, guided by invisible fields, until at last they meet the atmosphere above your head and paint it with light. You are seeing the sun's breath made visible, the invisible made tangible, the whispers turned into a song you can almost hear with your heart. To witness it is to remember that you are part of a story that stretches from the heart of a star to the ground beneath your feet. And what of the future? As humanity dreams of travelling beyond Earth, building homes on the moon, on Mars, In the vastness of space, the whispers of solar storms will be companions and challenges. Without Earth's shield, the storms will be harsher, their whispers sharper, their touch more dangerous. To live among the stars, we must learn to build new shields, to create our own auroras of protection, to carry with us the lessons we have learned here. In this way, the whispers become guides, teaching us not only about the sun, but about survival, about adaptation, about resilience. They remind us that the journey to the stars will not be silent, but filled with the voices of suns that greet us, test us, welcome us. In the end, the whispers of solar storms are not only about danger or beauty, they are about relationship. They are about remembering that Earth is not alone, that we are held in the embrace of a star that has shone for billions of years and will shine for billions more. To live here is to live within that embrace, to feel the warmth and the storms alike, to accept both as parts of a single gift. The auroras will continue to shimmer, the storms will continue to whisper, and humanity will continue to listen, to learn, to dream. In their light we will always find wonder, in their whispers we will always find connection, and in their endless rhythm we will always hear the voice of the sun, steady and eternal, reminding us that we are children of its fire, dancers in its storms, listeners in its song. Far beyond the bright shimmer of daylight in the quiet spaces between planets, there drift ancient stones and frozen travellers. They are not as radiant as stars, nor as large as worlds, yet they carry within them stories as old as the solar system itself. Asteroids and comets are the shadows of creation, fragments left over from the time when the sun and planets were born. They wander silently, endlessly, circling the sun in paths both steady and chaotic. Sometimes they drift quietly for millions of years, unseen and unnoticed. Other times they sweep close to Earth, reminding us that even in the calm of the night sky, there are hidden dangers moving just beyond our sight. Imagine the beginning of the solar system more than 4.5 billion years ago. A swirling cloud of dust and gas, pulled together by gravity, spun itself into a glowing star surrounded by a disk of fragments. From that disk, the planets grew, sweeping up matter as they formed. But not all fragments found a home. Some remained behind, drifting as loose pieces, never gathering into full worlds. These are the asteroids, rocks of metal and stone, leftovers of creation that orbit the sun in great belts and scattered groups. The largest are mountains adrift in space. The smallest are pebbles, dust, grains of stone that continue to rain down upon Earth every day, burning in our skies as meteors. Comets, by contrast, are frozen wanderers. They come from the distant edges of the solar system where the sun is only a faint glow. Their bodies are made of ice, dust and rock, preserved for billions of years in the cold. When they travel inward, closer to the warmth of the sun, they awaken. The ice begins to sublimate, turning into gas, and a great tail unfurls behind them, glowing with reflected light. To see a comet in the night sky is to see a visitor from the deep past, carrying within it the untouched materials from the dawn of planets. They are both beautiful and haunting, glowing trails that remind us of time and fragility. Yet both asteroids and comets carry with them a shadow of danger. Their orbits are not always steady. Gravity from planets, nudges from collisions, and invisible pushes from sunlight can shift their paths. Some drift harmlessly forever. Others cross paths with Earth. Most of the time they are small, burning up in our atmosphere as shooting stars, harmless and fleeting. But sometimes a larger one comes, and the shadow of danger grows. Earth bears the scars of these encounters, craters scattered across its surface, some vast, some hidden beneath oceans and forests. Each crater is a reminder that space is not empty, and that we live within a system still alive with wandering stones. Perhaps the most famous of these events was the impact that ended the reign of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. A body more than 6 miles wide struck near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula, releasing energy greater than billions of nuclear bombs. The sky filled with dust and fire, the seas boiled, the air darkened. In the years that followed, life struggled, and many species perished. Yet out of that destruction came renewal. Mammals rose, and eventually humanity emerged. The shadow of an asteroid ended one age and began another. It is a sobering reminder that even small wanderers can reshape worlds. Today, scientists watch the skies carefully, searching for these shadows. Telescopes scan the heavens each night, tracking the paths of near-Earth objects, calculating their orbits, predicting their approaches. Most are harmless, passing millions of miles away, but the watch is constant, for even one unnoticed rock could bring devastation. Efforts are underway not only to detect them but to prepare. Missions like NASA's DART experiment have already tested ways to nudge an asteroid's path, proving that humanity may one day be able to defend itself against such threats. It is both humbling and empowering to think that we may one day shape the paths of stones that have wandered since the dawn of time. But beyond the danger, there is also poetry. These bodies are time capsules, untouched fragments from the solar system's birth. To study an asteroid is to look into the earliest chapters of our history. To touch a comet is to touch the materials that first gathered into planets. Some even believe that comets may have carried water and organic molecules to Earth, seeding the beginnings of life. In this way, the shadows are not only threats but also gifts, bearers of possibility, messengers of creation. They remind us that destruction and creation are woven together, that danger and beauty often share the same face. When you gaze at the night sky and see a meteor streak across the darkness, you're witnessing a small piece of this story. A fragment of stone or dust burning in the atmosphere, glowing for only a second before vanishing. It is both fleeting and eternal, for in that glow lies a connection to the vast, unseen dance of bodies circling the sun. The shooting star does not last, but its story is endless, a reminder that the heavens are alive with motion, with shadows, with whispers of danger and wonder alike. To walk beneath the stars is to walk beneath these shadows, even if you cannot see them. They are always there, drifting silently, reminders of both fragility and resilience. Earth has faced their touch before and will again. Yet in that awareness comes not only caution but reverence, for the shadows of asteroids and comets are not only dangers to fear but truths to honour. They are pieces of the story of how we came to be, and they are part of the story of where we may one day go. To drift deeper into the story of asteroids and comets is to step into the archives of the solar system itself. Each fragment, no matter how small, carries with it the record of ancient times when planets were still finding their shapes. Unlike Earth, with its shifting crust and restless seas that erase old scars, these wanderers preserve the past in their surfaces and cores. A single asteroid can tell of conditions billions of years ago, its metals and minerals frozen in the patterns of creation. A comet, long asleep in the outer dark, awakens with a voice of ice, whispering secrets from the edge of time as it swings inward toward the sun. To study them is to read the pages of a book that has never been rewritten, a book whose words are the very dust and stone from which our world was born. Asteroids mostly dwell in the great belt between Mars and Jupiter, where millions of bodies orbit in a wide band like a river of stone. Yet they are not evenly spread. Some gather into families, groups born from long ago collisions that shattered larger worlds into fragments. Others wander alone, their paths tilted or stretched by the pull of Jupiter's gravity. Among them are giants like Ceres, once considered a planet in its own right, and countless smaller stones, each one a relic. Some contain rich veins of metals like nickel and iron. Others are dark with carbon. Still others glimmer with silicates. They are, in many ways, the unfinished building blocks of planets, reminders of a time when gravity played with matter like a sculptor with clay. Comets, by contrast, sleep far beyond this belt, in the icy reaches known as the Kuiper Belt and the Oort Cloud. The Kuiper Belt lies just beyond Neptune, filled with frozen bodies that circle the sun in wide, slow arcs. The Oort Cloud lies farther still, a vast, spherical shell of icy fragments surrounding the solar system like a distant halo. When a comet from these regions is nudged inward by the gravity of a passing star or the subtle drift of time, it begins a long journey toward the sun. For thousands of years it may travel, silent and unseen, until at last the warmth awakens it. Then the ice turns to vapour, the dust is freed, and a tail blossoms behind it, glowing in sunlight like the train of a ghostly traveller returning from the edges of eternity. These visitors remind us not only of the beauty of space, but also of its unpredictability. A comet seen in the sky today may not return for centuries or millennia. Halley's Comet, perhaps the most famous of all, visits Earth every 76 years, its glow recorded by ancient civilizations who marvelled at its recurring presence. Others come only once in human history, never to be seen again. Their paths are fragile, influenced by the gravity of planets, by the sun's warmth, even by the very gas and dust they release as they burn. They are wanderers in every sense, carrying both wonder and risk. The risk, though, is never far from mind. Asteroids that stray close to Earth, known as near-Earth objects, are watched with careful eyes. Some are only a few feet across, destined to burn in the atmosphere. Others are vast, stretching miles, capable of carving craters that would scar continents. Humanity has long veered these shadows, even if unconsciously, for in the streak of a fireball across the night sky lies the reminder that the heavens are not still. Every crater on Earth, from the vast basin in Mexico to the smaller scars scattered across deserts and forests, is a reminder of encounters past. Some impacts changed climates, altered evolution, reshaped ecosystems. To remember them is to acknowledge our place in a cosmic environment that is both nurturing and dangerous. Yet it is also true that these bodies may be part of why life exists at all. Some scientists believe that in Earth's early days, comets and asteroids delivered water, striking again and again until the oceans filled. Along with water, they may have carried organic molecules, the simple building blocks of life. If so, then the shadows of asteroids and comets are not only harbingers of destruction, but also bringers of possibility. In their collisions, they may have sown the seeds of life itself, gifting Earth the ingredients for growth. It is a paradox written into the story of existence. The same forces that threaten can also create. The same shadows that destroy can also awaken new beginnings. In recent years, humanity has reached out to these wanderers, sending probes to touch their surfaces to bring back samples of dust and stone. Missions like Hayabusa, OSYRISREX, and Rosetta have shown us that these are not lifeless objects but living archives rich with secrets. The Rosetta mission, which followed the comet 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko, revealed a landscape of cliffs and valleys, jets of gas erupting like geysers as the sun's warmth touched its frozen body. OSIRIS-REx returned samples from the asteroid Bennu, grains of ancient matter that hold clues to the earliest moments of the solar system. Each mission is a conversation, humanity reaching out with curiosity, and the wanderers answering with silence that nevertheless speaks volumes. And still, the poetry remains. To look up at the sky and see a meteor shower such as the Perseids or the Leonids is to witness the soft rain of comet dust entering the atmosphere. Each streak is a fragment of a tale, a memory of a comet's passing, burning briefly before fading into the dark. People lie beneath these showers, making wishes, dreaming, feeling connected to something larger. It is a moment where danger and wonder blend, for the dust is harmless but the reminder is real. Comets and asteroids are always with us, always moving, always part of our story. They are shadows, yes, but shadows that shine when touched by light. So as we walk forward into the future, we must hold both truths in our hearts. These wanderers are threats we must guard against, but they are also gifts we must cherish. They are pieces of the beginning, carriers of both destruction and life. They are reminders that the universe is not still, that creation is ongoing, that the story of planets and stars is never finished. And when you next see a shooting star burn across the night, pause and remember, you are watching the trace of a shadow older than Earth itself, a shadow that has travelled billions of miles only to shine for you in a fleeting moment of light. The story of asteroids and comets, these drifting shadows of creation, is not only a tale of the past but also of the future. As we look ahead, we see that humanity's destiny is tied to these wanderers in more ways than one. They are threats we must prepare for, but they are also resources waiting to be unlocked, teachers waiting to be heard. Their presence in our skies reminds us that the universe is not a quiet stage but a dynamic dance, where fragments of stone and ice continue to play their part long after the great planets formed. In their silence lies a truth. The solar system is not finished, and its story is still unfolding around us. Imagine standing on the surface of an asteroid. The horizon curves close, for the body is small, perhaps only a mile across. The ground beneath your feet is dark, rocky, uneven, clattered with boulders that have rested there for eons. Above you, the stars are steady and bright, and the sun shines without atmosphere to soften its glare. Gravity is weak. A single step feels like a leap. In that quiet, you sense time differently. There is no wind, no rain, no sound but your own breath. Every stone, every grain of dust has remained in place for millions of years, unchanged. You are walking upon a memory touching the very fragments of beginnings. And in that stillness, you realize that the asteroid is not only a relic, but also a mirror, showing you how fragile and brief life on Earth truly is. Now imagine a comet, its icy body awakening as it nears the sun. Jets of vapor burst from its surface, carrying dust into space, forming a glowing tail that stretches for millions of miles. To stand near it would be to hear the hiss of ice turning into gas, to see cliffs collapse as the frozen body reshapes itself under the warmth of light. It is both fragile and fierce, fragile in its structure, fierce in its journey. It has travelled from the far reaches of the solar system, perhaps from the Oort cloud itself, carrying with it the most ancient of ices. To witness it is to witness a visitor from the dawn of planets, a messenger bearing both beauty and risk. The dangers they pose cannot be ignored. Earth has been struck before and will be struck again. The question is not if, but when. This knowledge has pushed humanity to look outward with vigilance, to build systems of detection, to imagine ways of deflection. It is a strange thought that one day, perhaps centuries from now, we may alter the path of a wandering asteroid, shifting its shadow away from Earth. In that act, we will become active participants in the dance of the solar system, no longer passive witnesses but partners shaping the story. It is a responsibility as immense as it is necessary, for to ignore the shadows is to invite their touch. But beyond fear, there is wonder in what they might offer. The metals within asteroids, iron, nickel, platinum, could one day fuel civilizations among the stars. The water locked in comets could become reservoirs for future explorers, sources of life far from Earth. These bodies, once seen only as threats, may become stepping stones, resources that allow humanity to expand beyond its home world. In their shadows we may find not only survival but growth, not only danger but opportunity. They are challenges, yes, but also gifts, waiting for us to learn how to use them wisely. And then there is the poetry, the quiet beauty that cannot be measured in metals or molecules. To watch a meteor shower is to be reminded that the universe is generous with wonder. Every streak across the sky is a fleeting light, a reminder that even shadows can shine when touched by Earth's embrace. To see a comet's tail stretch across the heavens is to glimpse the artistry of nature on a scale beyond comprehension. These are not only scientific phenomena, they are experiences that stir the soul, that connect us to the cosmos in ways beyond words. They remind us that we are not separate from the solar system but part of it, bound by its rhythms, shaped by its fragments, destined to share in its unfolding story. As we look forward, we must hold both truths together. The shadows are dangers and treasures, threats and teachers. They remind us of fragility, of the thinness of our shields, of the scars written into Earth's face. But they also remind us of resilience, of creation, of the possibility that even in destruction there can be new beginnings. They are not enemies, they are part of the same universe that gave us life. To fear them is natural, but to listen to them is wiser. For in their silence, in their drifting paths, in their glowing trails, they tell us who we are, where we came from, and what futures may await us. So when you next walk beneath the stars and see a shooting star trace its path across the night, pause and let yourself feel the story. That light is the brief life of a fragment older than Earth, a fragment that has travelled for millions of years to burn for just a second in your sky. It is a reminder of time's vastness and your own place within it, a reminder that you live not in isolation, but within a cosmic dance. The shadows of asteroids and comets will always be there, drifting in silence, shaping the story of planets and life. And in their shadows we find not only danger, but also the light of understanding, the gentle truth that even the darkest wanderers carry within them the memory of creation and the promise of tomorrow. Above our heads, unseen and often unthought of, lies a fragile shield that makes life on Earth possible. It does not shine like the stars, nor glow like the auroras it sometimes creates. Instead, it stretches silently around our planet, thin as breath, delicate as a veil, yet strong enough to hold back the storms of space. This is Earth's atmosphere and magnetic field together, the twin guardians that protect every living thing. Without them, the sun's fierce winds and the galaxy's relentless rays would fall unsoftened, stripping oceans, burning soil, and unraveling the fragile threads of life. To live here is to be cradled within this invisible shield, a blanket of gases and fields that embrace the planet like a parent holds a child. The atmosphere begins just above where we stand, blending with the air we breathe, then thinning steadily as it rises until, at last, it gives way to the black of space. Though it seems endless when we look up, it is astonishingly thin compared to the size of Earth. If Earth were the size of an apple, the atmosphere would be no thicker than the skin. And yet, this thin veil shapes everything. It scatters sunlight into blue skies, softens starlight into twinkles, carries clouds and rains across continents, and, most importantly, shields us from harm. Each layer of the atmosphere has its own quiet duty. The troposphere nurturing weather and life, the stratosphere guarding with its ozone, the mesosphere burning away meteors, the thermosphere glowing with auroras, the exosphere fading into space. Together, they form a symphony of protection, each note delicate, each role essential. Above the atmosphere lies another shield, invisible yet powerful, the magnetosphere. Generated deep within Earth, in the molten swirl of its iron core, magnetic fields rise outward, stretching into space like vast invisible wings. They form a bubble that deflects the solar wind, guiding streams of particles away, bending them toward the poles, sparing most of the planet from their touch. Without this field, the sun would strip the atmosphere away, just as it has done to Mars, leaving a dry, barren world behind. It is not a perfect barrier, but it is enough. It allows life to thrive beneath its reach, safe from the full force of cosmic storms. To think of these shields as merely scientific is to miss their poetry. The air you breathe is not only oxygen and nitrogen, but a gift of balance, tuned over billions of years to be just right. Too little, and you could not live. Too much of certain gases, and the heat would trap until Earth boiled. Somehow, through the long history of volcanoes, oceans, forests, and microbes, the air has settled into the perfect blend. It is not only a shield, but also a partner, breathing with you, cycling with the seas and the trees, carrying whispers from one side of the world to another. When you breathe, you are part of this exchange, part of the fragile balance that makes the shield whole. The ozone layer, thin though it is, plays one of the most crucial roles. High in the stratosphere, molecules of ozone absorb the sun's harsh ultraviolet light, turning deadly rays into warmth. Without it, the sun would scorch the surface, damaging DNA, withering plants, blinding animals. Yet with it, life flourishes under the sun's gentler glow. For years, this shield thinned, scarred by human actions, by chemicals rising into the sky. But as the world listened as nations acted, the ozone began to heal. This is a reminder that though Earth's shields are ancient, they are not indestructible. They can be harmed and they can recover if we respect them, if we protect them as they have protected us. And then there are the auroras, those soft lights at the poles, glowing like curtains of fire that ripple across the night sky. They are the visible breath of the magnetic shield, the moments when particles from the sun slip inward along magnetic lines and touch the atmosphere. What might have been danger becomes beauty, light painted across darkness, proof that Earth's shield is not silent but alive, interacting with the storms of space in ways both protective and poetic. To stand beneath an aurora is to see the shield itself speak, to see the invisible become visible, to feel connected to the vastness of space while still held safely within Earth's embrace. Yet the shield is fragile. Climate change, pollution, and careless actions strain the atmosphere. The magnetic field too shifts and wavers, its poles wandering, its strength changing over millennia. Scientists study these changes with both awe and concern, knowing that Earth's shield has flipped before, knowing it may again, knowing that its strength is not constant but living, dynamic, mysterious. It is a reminder that the shield is not a wall, but a breath, changing, adapting, sometimes thinning, sometimes thickening, always alive. To appreciate the shield is to remember that life exists here not by accident but by grace. Countless planets may circle countless stars, but few will have just the right veil of gases, just the right magnetic field, just the right balance of protection and openness. Earth is rare, and its shield is part of what makes it so. To live beneath it is to be sheltered by an invisible gift, a breath so thin it could be broken, yet so strong it has endured for billions of years. It is the quiet guardian we rarely thank, the fragile breath that holds the storms at bay. If you drift upward from the ground, carried slowly through the layers of the sky, you begin to feel the presence of Earth's shield in ways both subtle and profound. In the troposphere, the air is thick with life's breath, with clouds that gather and break, with winds that weave the weather. Rising higher, the air thins, the world below grows distant, and the horizon curves. In the stratosphere, you meet the ozone layer, a fragile band no thicker than a pencil line when compared to the size of Earth, yet powerful enough to hold back the harshest rays of the sun. Without it, life would cower beneath ultraviolet fire, but with it, forests rise, oceans teem, and eyes open to the sky without fear. It is a lesson in humility, that what is most vital is often what seems most delicate, that strength can live within thinness, that fragility can be resilience. Higher still in the mesosphere, meteors flame into light, their stony bodies undone by friction with air, too thin to breathe but dense enough to burn. Night after night, countless fragments strike this layer, each one a reminder that Earth's shield is active, vigilant, catching debris before it can touch the ground. Every shooting star is not only a moment of beauty, but also a sign of protection. The atmosphere taking the impact so we do not have to. Then comes the thermosphere, where the air is thin beyond imagination, and yet where the most delicate dances occur, the auroras, glowing like ethereal curtains as the magnetic field channels solar winds into light. Here, the shield reveals itself, turning danger into wonder, storm into poetry, and beyond lies the exosphere, the threshold where air gives way to the vacuum of space. the final breath of Earth fading into silence. Beneath these layers lies the magnetic field, deeper and older than the air, born from the molten heart of Earth. Imagine the core, a sphere of iron and nickel swirling like a slow, endless ocean. Within this ocean, motions of molten metal generate electric currents, and from these currents rise the great magnetic field. It stretches outward in all directions, invisible but immense, reaching tens of thousands of miles into space. Against the solar wind it holds, not perfectly but firmly enough to shield. Without it, Earth might resemble Mars, a planet once with seas and air, but now stripped bare, its shield lost, its breath stolen by the sun. Our shield is not invincible, but it is enduring, shaped by the restless heart within the planet. A heartbeat measured not in seconds, but in millennia. This shield is not static. The magnetic poles wander, sometimes swiftly, sometimes slowly, drifting across the globe. In the deep history of Earth, they have even flipped, north becoming south and south becoming north. During these reversals, the field weakens, allowing more radiation to reach the surface, and yet life persists. It is a reminder that the shield is not a rigid wall, but a living system, changing, adapting, sometimes trembling, but never abandoning its task. Scientists measure these shifts with instruments and satellites, seeking to understand the rhythms of a field that has protected life for billions of years. And though it may weaken or shift, it remains a partner in Earth's long story of survival. The atmosphere too is alive, shaped not only by natural forces, but also by the actions of life itself. The first breaths of oxygen were exhaled by microbes more than 2 billion years ago, transforming the air from a toxic haze into a shield that could nurture new forms of life. Forests, oceans, and grasslands continue that work, cycling carbon, releasing oxygen, maintaining the balance. Life creates the shield even as the shield protects life. It is a dance, a cycle, a conversation that has lasted for eons. To breathe is not only to draw air into your lungs, but also to participate in this exchange, to share in the fragile balance that makes Earth habitable. Yet this balance can be disturbed. Human activity has released gases that warm the atmosphere, shifting climates, melting ice, raising seas. Pollution has thinned the ozone, though healing has begun. These changes remind us that the shield is not unbreakable. It depends upon harmony, upon respect, upon recognition that what sustains us must be sustained in return. The fragile breath of Earth's shield can be weakened by carelessness, but it can also be strengthened by care. To act with awareness is to add to the shield's resilience, to ensure that it continues its quiet guardianship for generations to come. And when the solar storms come, as they always do, the shield answers. The magnetic field bends and ripples, guiding charged particles away, shaping their paths into graceful arcs toward the poles. There, the atmosphere responds, glowing with colours as atoms of oxygen and nitrogen release light. What could have been destruction becomes art. What could have been chaos becomes beauty. The auroras remind us that protection is not always invisible. Sometimes it is radiant, reminding us to look upward and remember that we are not alone, that the shield above us is alive, aware in its own way, carrying on its ancient work with both strength and elegance. To live beneath this shield is to live in rare fortune. Few planets in the universe may offer such protection, such balance, such partnership. We walk, breathe, dream, and love because Earth's fragile breath holds. And in every sunrise, in every starry night, in every breeze that brushes your face, you can feel it. The quiet embrace of the atmosphere, the unseen reach of the magnetosphere, the guardianship of Earth itself. To know this is to feel gratitude, to live not in ignorance of danger, but in awe of protection. For life is not merely possible here, it is nurtured, it is cherished, it is held safe beneath the fragile breath of Earth's shield. The fragile breath of Earth's shield is more than a scientific fact. It is a quiet miracle woven into the story of life itself. Without it, the Earth would be unrecognizable, a barren rock battered by radiation and stripped of seas. With it, we live in a world of oceans, forests, skies, and dreams. This shield does not demand gratitude, yet it deserves it. It does not ask to be noticed, yet when we pause to reflect, we can feel its presence in every breath, in every beam of sunlight softened by air, in every shadow cast beneath a sky of blue. To honour it is to remember that life is delicate, that protection is not guaranteed, that survival depends on balance. Think of the air itself, the thin film that wraps the planet. It is easy to forget, for it is invisible and weightless, yet it holds the warmth of the sun, carries the rains and softens the nights. Every bird that flies, every tree that sways, every breath that fills your lungs is proof of its care. In storms it is fierce, in calm skies it is tender. The winds that circle the globe tie every place together, carrying whispers from ocean to desert, from mountain to plain. When you inhale, you take in molecules that may have brushed against the sea, drifted through forests, passed over fields of ice. The atmosphere is not just above you, it is within you, part of you, as much a part of your being as your own heartbeat. And then think of the magnetic field, the unseen guardian. It does not shine, it does not roar, yet its strength is immeasurable. It catches the storms of the sun and bends them away. It shapes the space around Earth, carving a bubble where life can endure. Though we cannot feel it with our senses, we live within its arms every moment. When its invisible lines guide solar particles into the poles, we glimpse its presence in curtains of colour, the auroras, those glowing veils that ripple in green, red, violet and blue. They are reminders that the shield is alive, that the invisible can become visible, that what protects us can also inspire us with beauty. The shield is fragile because it can be harmed. Greenhouse gases warm the atmosphere, shifting climates and straining balance. Pollutants once thinned the ozone, opening wounds that let harmful light slip through. Even now the field itself drifts and wavers, its poles wandering, its strength changing over centuries. These truths remind us that the shield is not a wall of stone but a breath, delicate, alive, in need of care. Just as a breath can be held or lost, so too can this shield be strengthened or weakened by what we do. Its endurance depends not only on Earth's inner workings, but also on our choices, our respect for the fragile systems that sustain us. And yet, fragility does not mean weakness. The shield has endured for billions of years, through asteroid strikes, volcanic upheavals, and the shifting of continents. It has bent beneath storms and recovered. It has trembled during reversals and remained. It is resilient, adaptive, living. It has carried life through ages of ice and fire, always protecting enough for survival, always sheltering enough for renewal. Its fragility is a reminder of humility, but its endurance is a lesson in hope. Together they tell us that even what seems delicate can endure, that even what is unseen can hold the weight of worlds. To live beneath this shield is to be part of a rare and precious story. Out of countless planets circling countless stars, few may have such protection, such balance, such breath. We live in a place where oceans can flow, where skies can shelter, where life can flourish. This is not an accident. It is a gift. And in every moment we are alive, we are witnesses to that gift, participants in a story that began billions of years ago and continues with every breath we take. To remember this is to feel gratitude not only for the air above, but also for the unseen field around us, the fragile, enduring guardians of life. So as this story draws to its close, let yourself pause and breathe deeply. Feel the air fill your lungs, soft and cool, a reminder that the shield is here, holding, protecting. Look to the sky, whether it is clear or clouded, and know that above it stretches a veil of gases that nurtures life. Remember that farther still lies a magnetic field that bends the storms of the sun into harmless dances of light. These are not distant facts, they are intimate truths, as close as your own breath. The fragile shield above you is not only the reason you live, but also the reason you dream, the reason you love, the reason you belong to a world alive with possibility. The fragile breath of Earth's shield is, in the end, not only protection but poetry. It is the quiet embrace of a planet that holds life tenderly, the invisible song that keeps storms at bay, the gentle balance that makes existence possible. It is fragile, yes, but it is also strong, and in its strength and fragility together lies the essence of life. To live here is to be sheltered by wonder, to be held by the breath of Earth itself, to be part of a story that is as delicate as it is enduring, as quiet as it is infinite. At the farthest reaches of understanding, where light itself falters and time bends upon itself, there exist regions of space so strange and powerful that they defy ordinary thought. These are black holes, the silent hearts of gravity, where matter collapses into a point so dense that nothing, not even light, can escape. To think of them is to step into a dream where the rules of the universe are rewritten, where beginnings and endings blur, and where silence is filled with echoes older than stars. Black holes are not only dangers hidden in the dark, but also profound teachers, revealing to us the limits of space, of time, of existence itself. A black hole begins not as a monster, but as a star. For millions of years, a massive star burns brightly, fusing hydrogen into heavier elements, its light warming nearby planets, its winds shaping space. But stars, like all things, must one day end. When a star far larger than our sun exhausts its fuel, its outer layers explode outward in a supernova, a blaze so fierce it outshines galaxies. What remains collapses inward, gravity pulling with such intensity that even the atoms themselves are crushed. The result is a singularity, a point of infinite density, wrapped in a cloak called the event horizon. Once inside that horizon, escape is impossible. The star has died, yet what remains is something beyond death. A black hole, silent, invisible, eternal. Imagine drifting near such a place. From a distance you would see nothing unusual, only darkness where stars should be. But as you drew closer you would notice light bending, stars distorted into arcs and halos. This is gravity at its most extreme, curving space itself, shaping light into rings of fire. If you moved closer still, you would see the accretion disk, a whirl of matter spiraling inward, heated by friction until it glows with furious brilliance. Though the black hole itself is invisible, its hunger is not. It consumes stars, dust, gas, anything that drifts too near, and in the process it becomes one of the brightest objects in the universe. Paradox and poetry, the darkest thing creates the brightest light, and yet black holes are not merely destroyers, they are sculptors of galaxies. In their centres, supermassive black holes, millions or billions of times heavier than the Sun, anchor the swirls of stars. They guide the dance of spiral arms, influence the birth of stars, and shape the very form of galaxies themselves. Without them, the universe would look different, its grand designs incomplete. To study black holes is to study not only endings, but also the foundations of cosmic structure. They are both graves and architects, both shadows and creators, reminders that destruction and creation are inseparable. For humans, the idea of falling into a black hole has always stirred both fear and wonder. If you approach the event horizon, time itself would seem to change. To you, time would pass normally, your heart beating, your thoughts flowing, but to a distant observer your motion would slow, your light stretching into red, until you seemed frozen at the edge forever. This strange effect, predicted by Einstein's theories, reveals that black holes are not only about matter, but about time itself. They show us that time can bend, that clocks can disagree, that reality is more fluid than our senses tell us. To think of them is to think of echoes at the edge of time, whispers from a place where the familiar dissolves into the unknown. Even beyond their pull, black holes leave traces. As they merge, spiraling into one another, they send ripples through the fabric of space-time itself. These ripples, called gravitational waves, travel across the cosmos like the surface of a pond after a stone is cast. Detectors on Earth have begun to listen to these waves, recording the faint tremors of distant collisions. Each wave is a story, a signal from billions of light years away, carrying with it the memory of black holes that danced and merged long before life arose here. To hear them is to hear the universe itself speaking in vibrations, low and deep, the echoes of gravity made audible. The danger of black holes lies in their invisibility. They drift in the galaxy, hidden unless they reveal themselves by their influence on nearby stars. Some are small, the remnants of collapsed suns. Others are vast, sitting at galactic centres. None can be seen directly, for no light escapes them. They are known only by their shadows, by the light bent around them, by the stars that circle them. The famous image of a black hole, captured by the Event Horizon Telescope, showed not the hole itself, but the glowing ring of matter spiralling inward, the silhouette of the void at its centre. It was a glimpse of the unseeable, a picture of silence itself, and yet, despite their darkness, black holes are not to be feared alone. They are part of the natural life of the universe, as much as stars and planets, as much as comets and oceans. They remind us that endings are part of beginnings, that collapse can give rise to creation, that even silence has its echoes. To live in a universe with black holes is to live in a universe alive with mystery, with depth, with questions that stretch the mind and soften the heart. For in their stillness they remind us how little we know and how much there is to wonder. So when you look at the night sky, remember that hidden among the stars are these silent hearts of gravity, unseen but present, patient but powerful. They may seem far away, but their influence shapes the galaxies, shapes the stars, shapes even the path of our own sun. We are not distant from them, we are part of the same universe they sculpt. Their echoes reach us in light bent and waves trembling, in mysteries that stir the soul. Black holes are the edge of time, the voice of gravity made eternal, the silent song of the cosmos reminding us that even in darkness there is meaning, and even in silence there is echo. To move deeper into the mystery of black holes is to enter a place where imagination stretches and reason is tested. These entities are not merely objects of mass and gravity, but gateways into questions about the very fabric of the cosmos. They remind us that our familiar understanding of space and time, which seems so steady in daily life, can fold, stretch, and warp in ways almost beyond comprehension. Black holes are not only dangerous, they are profound mirrors, showing us that the universe is stranger, richer, and more poetic than we could ever have guessed. Consider the event horizon, that invisible boundary around a black hole. To cross it is to pass a point of no return. Nothing, no light, no signal, no thought, can escape once it falls inside. For an observer far away, someone falling toward the horizon would appear to slow, their light stretched and dimmed, fading into silence. But to the one falling, time would seem normal. The horizon would be crossed in an instant, the descent unbroken. This paradox is one of the most haunting truths of relativity. Time itself is not the same for all who experience it. In black holes, this difference becomes absolute, a rift between perspectives that can never be reconciled. It is as if two versions of reality exist side by side, both true, both irreconcilable. The singularity at the heart of a black hole, where matter is crushed to infinite density, is another mystery. Physics as we know it falters there, its laws bending until they can no longer hold. Our equations, so successful elsewhere, collapse into infinities. It is as though the universe has written a page in a book that we cannot yet read, a place where a new kind of understanding is required. Some believe that quantum physics will one day rewrite this page, blending gravity and particles into a deeper harmony. Until then, the singularity remains a silence, a blank space at the center of knowledge, a reminder that humility is the beginning of wisdom. Black holes also stir questions about information itself. If matter falls into a black hole, is its information, the details of what it once was, lost forever? Or is it preserved in some hidden form, imprinted on the horizon, carried outward in subtle ways? This debate, known as the information paradox, has occupied some of the greatest minds of physics. It is not only a technical puzzle, but also a philosophical one. It asks whether the universe forgets, or whether memory is eternal, whether destruction is absolute, or whether traces always remain. To ponder it is to feel the depth of black holes not only as physical realities, but also as metaphors for our own lives, our fears of loss, our hopes for continuity. Beyond their mysteries, black holes shape the universe in tangible ways. Supermassive black holes at galactic centers regulate star formation, their outbursts heating and stirring the gas that would otherwise form new suns. They are like hearts beating at the core of galaxies, their rhythms setting the pace of growth and change. Without them, galaxies might collapse into chaos or grow without balance. With them, the cosmic dance is ordered, patterned, sustained. To realize this is to see black holes not only as ends, but as regulators, as part of the harmony of creation. They are not aberrations, but integral notes in the symphony of the universe. And then there are the mergers, when two black holes spiral together and unite. These are among the most violent events in the cosmos, releasing energy in the form of gravitational waves that ripple across space-time. When detectors on Earth record these waves, they are not hearing light or sound, but the trembling of existence itself. Each detection is a whisper from billions of years ago, an echo of two titans colliding in darkness. To listen is to listen not with ears, but with imagination, to feel the pulse of the cosmos as it speaks in vibrations deeper than sound. It is poetry in motion, science transformed into wonder, the universe revealing itself not only through what we see, but through what we can feel. Black holes may also hold clues to the greatest questions of all. Some theories suggest that within them could lie bridges to other regions of space and time, wormholes that connect distant points, perhaps even other universes. These are speculations, dreams of physics not yet proven, yet they remind us that black holes are not walls but doorways, that their silence may conceal connections richer than we know. Even if such pathways never exist, the thought itself expands us, urging us to imagine, to stretch, to consider that the universe may hold surprises beyond our wildest visions. For those who look up at the stars, black holes remain invisible. Yet their echoes reach us, in X-rays from accreting matter, in radio waves from jets that burst outward, in the arcs of light bent around them. They are shadows that reveal themselves by how they touch the world around them. The first image of a black hole, a glowing ring encircling darkness, was more than a scientific achievement. It was a symbol, a reminder that even the most unreachable mysteries can yield to patience and curiosity. That image was not only a picture of a distant galaxy's heart, it was a portrait of our own longing to know, to understand, to touch the infinite. So let yourself dwell on these echoes. Imagine the quiet pull of gravity that no one can resist, the bending of light into halos, the trembling of space-time itself. Imagine the paradoxes of time, the mysteries of information, the sculpting of galaxies, the whispers of mergers. These are not fantasies, they are truths, woven into the fabric of existence. Black holes are real, and yet they are also metaphors, teaching us that darkness is not emptiness but depth, that silence is not absence but presence, that the unknown is not to be feared but to be embraced. To stand beneath the stars and think of black holes is to feel both small and infinite. Small because they remind us of forces beyond comprehension. Infinite because our minds can reach across the void and touch their mysteries in thought. Their echoes are everywhere, in science, in imagination, in the quiet wonder of anyone who has ever looked at the night sky and felt the pull of questions too vast for answers. And in those echoes, we find not fear but belonging, not despair but inspiration, not endings but beginnings, hidden in the depths of silence. The echoes of black holes are not only found in equations or telescopes, but also in the way they reshape how we think about ourselves and our place in the universe. They stand as reminders that reality is deeper and more complex than the surface we walk upon, that behind the familiar lies a vastness where certainty dissolves. In their silence, they ask questions of us. What does it mean to cross a horizon from which no return is possible? What does it mean for time to fracture, for information to hide, for light itself to fail? These questions are not only about stars, but about existence, about memory, about the nature of what endures and what fades. To imagine falling into a black hole is to imagine a journey into the unknown. At first, the pull would be gentle, barely felt, as if nothing were unusual. But with each step closer, the tug would grow until gravity became irresistible. Stars behind you would distort, stretched into arcs of light. Ahead, the event horizon would loom, not as a wall, but as an absence, a place where sight falters. Crossing it would be silent, unmarked, as if stepping across an invisible line. Beyond, no return. What happens then, no one can say. Do you plunge into a singularity where matter is crushed into nothingness? Or do you find a passage, a doorway into another realm? The answer is hidden, perhaps forever, but the question itself is enough to remind us of the infinite depth of the cosmos. And yet, even without crossing such horizons, we feel their influence. Black holes anchor galaxies, shaping the dance of billions of stars. Their mergers send ripples that pass through us, bending space and time so slightly that only the most delicate instruments can hear. Their presence challenges our understanding of physics, urging us to seek new theories, new harmonies of quantum and gravity. They are mysteries that call us forward, not to despair at what we cannot know, but to marvel at the questions themselves. To live in a universe with black holes is to live in a universe alive with wonder, where silence is not emptiness but invitation. There is poetry too in the way black holes echo through human thought. Writers and dreamers have long imagined them as portals, as metaphors for endings, as symbols of fear or transformation. In their darkness, we see not only the collapse of stars, but also reflections of our own uncertainties, our own fears of loss, of forgetting, of passing beyond horizons we cannot return from. And yet, just as physicists argue that information may never be lost, perhaps nothing in us is lost either. Perhaps every moment, every memory, every act leaves echoes, even if we cannot see them. Black holes in their silence remind us that nothing is ever fully erased, that even endings may carry traces forward in ways unseen. For the universe, they are keepers of balance. Too many stars without restraint, and galaxies would burn themselves out in chaos. Too little gravity at their centres, and the swirls of stars would drift apart. Black holes, paradoxically, bring order through their darkness. They are silent sculptors, ensuring that the grand structures of the cosmos endure. In this, they remind us that what seems destructive can also be creative, that endings and beginnings are not opposites, but parts of one story. To reflect on them is to reflect on life itself, where loss and growth, silence and song, shadow and light are always entwined. The echoes reach us in more ways than one. They are heard in the gravitational waves recorded on Earth, faint ripples that tell of ancient collisions. They are seen in the glowing rings of accretion disks, captured by telescopes that turn the invisible into image. They are felt in the awe of anyone who looks up at the night sky and wonders what lies beyond the stars. And they are lived in the questions we carry, the way we stretch our minds to imagine what cannot be seen, the way we accept that mystery is not a flaw in the universe but one of its greatest gifts. So let this story close not with fear but with reverence. Black holes are not monsters lurking in the dark. They are voices in the cosmic symphony, notes so deep we feel them more than hear them. They are reminders that the universe is not small, not simple, not finished. They tell us there are horizons yet to be crossed, mysteries yet to be met, echoes yet to be heard. They remind us that even in the darkest places, meaning abides, and even in silence there is song. When you stand beneath the stars, let yourself imagine the unseen hearts that beat within galaxies, the black holes whose gravity binds the cosmos. Know that their echoes reach you, not only in science but in spirit, not only in equations but in awe. They are the edge of time, the echo of endings that are also beginnings, the silence that is also voice. To live in their universe is to live in a universe vast beyond measure, mysterious beyond words, beautiful beyond fear. And in their echoes, you find not emptiness but connection, not despair but wonder, not darkness but the soft reminder that you, too, are part of this infinite story.